Good afternoon. I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory, and we don't typically start with the 7-day forecast, but I wanted to show it just to show you how completely lit up it is in red. We have alert days today and tomorrow, but then we're back on alert Sunday all the way through next week for totally different reasons. So we're going to talk more about that. First, let me make sure I get the Facebook video pulled up here so that I can see if anybody has any questions or comments along the way. We already have Laura Gray in here watching from Dawson Springs. Thank you for tuning in, Laura. Again, I am keeping an eye on the comments, so if you have any questions as we go along, please drop those in the comments of the Facebook Live video, and I'll do my best to answer those. So here's what we start with. The alert for today and tomorrow is for heavy rain and thunderstorms. So we've already had quite a bit of rain last night into this morning. Then we got kind of a break in the action around the middle of the day today, but we've got more rain starting to move in now, and still through the rest of this evening and even into tomorrow, there's this isolated threat for a severe storm that could produce damaging winds or maybe even a tornado. And as we continue to get back to back rounds of rain, and some of that rain on the heavy side, that does pose a risk of flooding, especially flash flooding, as we go through the rest of this time. Now, once we get through all the rain, then we pivot to the heat, and we're back on alert starting Sunday afternoon, and then really just that heat increases as we get into the work week, and we remain on alert all the way through next week, as we will likely be under a heat advisory throughout most, if not all, of next week, with heat index values climbing well into the triple digits. So we'll talk more about the heat wave in just a minute, but let's start by talking about the rain. And hopefully my colors show up here, but either way, you get the gist here. These are some rainfall totals from the past 24 hours. These are not estimates. These are actual reports from actual rain gauges here, and there is a bit of variety. Some folks only got around a ½ inch to an inch. Others have had upwards of 2.5 to nearly 3 inches of rain. So some parts of the tri-state have already had quite a bit of rain just in the past 24 hours. That's good. There's the colors. That's a good soaking rainfall in and of itself, especially across southwest Indiana, where you're seeing those brighter yellow and oranges there. That's where we've had upwards of 2 or even close to 3 inches of rain in some locations, and there's still more on the way. So keep that in mind. Come at this with any rain we get is on top of the 2 or even 2.5 inches of rain some of us have already seen. Now, we've got some very light rain out there right now, really just a sprinkle in many locations, but off to the west, notice as you look out toward Cape Girardeau, some bright yellow and orange and red color showing up there along with some lightning. So that's a thunderstorm there. So right now our rain is very light, but this rain is headed our way. So we will see our rain chances ramping up, including the potential for heavy rain and thunderstorms as we go through the next few hours, as this that we're seeing right now in southern Illinois and off into Missouri pushes east our way into the tri-state. So like I said, we did get a break from the rain. We dried out very briefly around lunchtime, but now we're starting to see some lighter, more scattered rain. And then by this evening, by about 4 or 5 o'clock, those thunderstorms that we're seeing out around Cape Girardeau will be pushing into the tri-state. So here within the next couple of hours, we'll be tracking possibly some heavy rain and thunderstorms in the tri-state. And then we continue to see scattered rain then on into this evening. Although I think if we're going to get any severe weather, it would probably be earlier in this evening with those thunderstorms I'm talking about there. We still see another round of scattered showers and storms overnight tonight. Tomorrow the rain is looking more isolated. There's still certainly a chance of rain on and off throughout the entire day on Saturday. Starting Saturday morning, we've got an isolated chance of showers and storms, and that sticks with us through lunchtime on Saturday and into Saturday afternoon and evening. But it's much more isolated. There's going to be a lot more dry time in the mix throughout the day on Saturday. Many of you may end up staying dry for most of the day, whereas others may get unlucky and get round after round of rain. It's just going to be luck of the draw here where that rain sets up, but scattered showers and a few thunderstorms still possible on and off throughout the day Saturday. I don't think it will be quite as much of a washout as much of today has been, though. Then we get one final round of rain overnight Saturday night into Sunday morning. So early Sunday, I still think there could be some rain. It's going to push out pretty quickly, though, and by Sunday afternoon, it's going to become mostly sunny. And then as all the rain, all that moisture starts to evaporate, it is going to get steamy. And so the hot, humid weather really starts to kick in Sunday afternoon and then just gets worse as we get into the work week. And we'll talk more about that heat wave in just a few minutes. But let's start with our risk for any kind of severe weather tonight. The entire tri-state is sitting at a level 2 on a scale of 5 for our risk of severe weather. So widespread severe weather is not expected from this system, but a few strong to severe storms are certainly possible. Then tomorrow, that drops down to a level 1 risk as our rain chances in general become more isolated. So does our risk of any kind of severe weather. Then by Sunday, there is still that chance of some rain, maybe even a rumble of thunder early in the morning. But by then, it would be just a few spotty showers and storms, no severe weather threat on Sunday. By then, this is going to be on its way out, and we'll be starting to pivot our attention to the heat. Looking at the individual threats now. So this is for the rest of today into the overnight hours tonight. We're sitting at a 5% risk of tornadoes, which is a level 2 threat. Not real concerned about hail tonight, but we're also at a level 2 risk for wind and flooding, which for those threats would be a 15% risk. So flooding and wind, the most likely concerns, but tornadoes obviously cannot be ruled out with the storms rolling through tonight. Tomorrow looks a little different. There is still a very low risk of tornadoes tomorrow, but the emphasis is more on this level 1 threat for flooding, wind, and maybe some small hail with the storms developing tomorrow. So both today and tomorrow, our chances of severe weather are pretty isolated, but you need to be prepared for anything. Flooding, as I said, is the most likely threat, but some damaging wind gusts, small hail, or even a tornado can't be totally ruled out. Here is the rainfall forecast moving forward. So again, this is the remaining rainfall on top of what we have already had. So we've already had a 1/2 inch to 2.5 inches, just depending on your location already. And notice we're well into the bright blues here, right? So we're talking about another 1 to 1.5 inches for much of the tri-state, maybe even up to 2 inches in some locations in additional rainfall. So when you add that to what we already have, that means some folks could end up with 3 to 4 inches of rain total by the time all is said and done. And so that's why we are concerned about flooding. The flood threat just keeps expanding. Initially, it had been just for the northwest part of the tri-state. Then they added a few more counties. Now they've continued to expand it, and the whole map is green now. Everybody's under a flood watch. They also extended the time. Initially, this flood watch was set to end at 7 o'clock Saturday morning. They've now continued it until 7 o'clock Sunday morning because while the rain on Saturday looks more isolated, there's still that chance that any storm that develops could produce torrential rain and cause flooding in whatever area it hits. So we are still on alert for flooding, not just tonight, but throughout the day tomorrow as well, and then that threat ends on Sunday morning. So the most likely threat, the most likely result from these rain and thunderstorms is that we could end up with some flooding. Flooding is the most widespread concern. But there is this isolated chance that we could see 1 or 2 thunderstorms really get going and become strong or even severe. If a severe storm develops, then we've got the threat for damaging winds, maybe even a tornado, and the low-level threat of some hail as well. Let's check in on the comments here before I start pivoting over to the temperatures. Good afternoon, Amy, Jerry. Jeff Miller has 1.1 inches of rain in Sava. Good to know. Emma, Jake. I would hold off on the arc for now, Jake, but yeah, I like where your head's at. It is going to be some pretty serious rain by the time we get done with this weekend. Zach, I'm not real concerned about discrete supercells at this time. Good afternoon, Jeanette, Caroline, Rhonda, Carolyn, Ricky, Suzanne. Jen is asking about any watches this afternoon. We're already under a flood watch. I don't know that they would add any kind of severe thunderstorm or tornado watch at this time. Our chances of severe weather seem pretty isolated. Like I said, there's a chance. You need to be prepared for that possibility, but the odds of that seem pretty isolated. The more widespread concern is the flooding. So I think they'll probably just stick with the flood watch, but it's not my call. I'm not the one who issues those watches. But I think they'll probably just stick with the flood watch they already have in place. Mary Beth has only had an inch of rain in the last 2 days. Like I said, some folks have only had a ½ inch to an inch of rain, but there's still more on the way. The biggest concern is those folks who have had 2 or 3 inches of rain already. If you get more on top of that, we could start running into some problems pretty quickly. And yeah, Albion says not much at all. Yeah, that 0.4 something inches that I saw, that was from Wayne County, so not far from you. And good afternoon, Dawn. I do have some people asking about the timeline. Again, we do have these thunderstorms. I'm going to circle back to this just real quick, and then we're going to move on to the heat here. Jeff will obviously be tracking these storms throughout the afternoon and evening on 14 News at 4, 5, and 6. But what we're watching is these storms that are out around Cape Girardeau. They are moving to the east. They're not moving terribly fast, but they are moving to the east. So these thunderstorms are it's going to start pushing our way here within the next couple of hours. So if we kind of put this in motion here for you, so that's a loop of the past. Now I'm going to show you the future, or at least one way the future might play out. And you were asking specifically about Owensboro. Notice those storms are right there at Owensboro by about 5 o'clock. You know, that could give or take half an hour, could be more like 4:30, could be more 5:30, but somewhere around that window here within the next couple of hours, those storms will probably start pushing into southeast Illinois within the next hour, hour and a half, and then be moving right through the middle part of the tri-state within the next couple of hours here before they start to move out. So we will be keeping a very close eye on it. It does seem like our best window for any kind of severe weather is probably this evening. So make sure you stay tuned. And again, Chief Meteorologist Jeff Lyons will have updates on these storms and your forecast on 14 News tonight at 4, 5, and 6. Okay, let's pivot to the heat for a moment, because this is going to be pretty serious. People tend to sometimes be kind of dismissive of heat, especially in the summertime. They're like, it's summer, it's supposed to be hot, what's the big deal? These are not going to be typical summertime temperatures, though. This is going to be the kind of heat that can be really dangerous or even deadly if you don't take the proper precautions. And my Facebook app just closed, so I've lost you. Let me get back to you in case there are more questions. Don't want to miss anything. Okay. And yeah, good afternoon, Aaron, Deuces, and Tina. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Okay, temperatures today, really not bad at all, right? We've had the clouds and the rain. That's kept us much cooler. Most of us are only sitting in the upper 70s right now, and it's probably as warm as it's going to get with that rain moving in later this afternoon and evening, and then the sun setting. It's probably all cooling down from here for the rest of the day today. Overnight tonight, though, it still stays pretty mild. We didn't warm up much today, but we won't cool off much overnight either. Our lows will only drop a few degrees into the low 70s overnight. It's still going to be mostly cloudy with scattered rain and thunderstorms. Then tomorrow, a little drier, and as a result, a little warmer. We may get a peak of sunshine tomorrow, but I think it's going to be mostly cloudy. Temperatures will top out in the low to mid 80s Saturday afternoon. Now, that is cooler than average for this time of year. It would be normal this late into June for our highs to be in the upper 80s or maybe even approaching 90. So we are running cooler than normal today and tomorrow. Then that rain moves out Sunday morning. By Sunday afternoon, the sun's going to start to break through. All that rain is going to start to evaporate, and it is going to get hot and muggy, and our temperatures just keep climbing then as we get into the work week. Look at this, we're looking at mid to even upper 90s by the middle of next week. I mean, by Wednesday and Thursday, it's nearly 10 degrees warmer than average, even for this time of year when it would be normal for us to be hot. So this is above and beyond normal summertime heat. And again, to make matters worse, it's not just going to be hot, it's going to be humid too. Earlier this week, we had a stretch of really beautiful weather Tuesday and Wednesday. It wasn't terribly hot. It was warm but not hot, had pretty comfortable humidity. Then that humidity started to creep up, mainly on Thursday, and that's when we saw the rain returning, right? Yesterday afternoon and evening, rain moved back in because we had that moisture in the atmosphere. So it would be normal for us to have humid conditions as long as we've got rain chances, right? But notice by Sunday, the rain moves out. The humidity, though, does not. We're way up here at the top of the chart here, all the way through next week at just, stifling. This is miserable air you can wear kind of humidity. You pair that kind of humidity with temperatures that are already in the 90s, and what you get is dangerous heat. So we all know that the humidity makes it feel hotter, right? Because it breaks down your body's natural ability to cool itself, right? You need to sweat, and you need that sweat to evaporate. That second step is where the humidity really hangs us up, because if your sweat can't evaporate because there's already so much moisture in the air that there's basically nowhere for your sweat to go, your body's natural ability to cool itself down starts to break down, and you can overheat very quickly, and that heat then becomes dangerous. So starting on Sunday, that heat index starts breaking into the triple digits. That is going to be just a taste, though. It's going to be hot on Sunday. You could even argue dangerously hot, but then that heat really hits its stride starting on Monday. That's when we could see a heat index up to 110, maybe even 112. And notice the heat risk here. We're up into the red and even purple shades here, showing a major to even extreme threat of heat risk. So that would be the risk of heat-related illnesses and things like that. Anytime the heat index gets over 105, you're in what we would refer to as the danger zone, right? And at that point, sunstroke, heat cramps, heat exhaustion all become likely if you're not taking the proper precautions. Heat stroke, which can be deadly, is even possible at that point. So you really need to be thinking ahead about hydrating. Hydrate. Water, all of next week, okay? But in addition to that, if you've got practices, workouts, things like that, kids in sports, whatever it may be, those things probably need to be either canceled or move to a cool time of day, right? Push them later, push them earlier, do something to avoid the warmest part of the day. And then if you work outside, this is going to be a situation where you need to plan to be able to take extra breaks, drink extra water, maybe go sit in your car with the air conditioning on to cool off. Do something to give your body little breaks throughout the day, or this can become dangerous. And again, people are quick to dismiss it because they say it's summertime, it's hot, that's normal. But look at this chart, okay? This shows weather-related deaths, weather-related fatalities, weather that has killed someone in the United States. We don't have the stats for 2025 at this time, but if you look at 2024 or an average over the past 10 years or the average over the past 30 years, what we see consistently year after year after year, the top two things: heat kills more Americans than any other type of weather, largely because people do dismiss it, right? And because you can't see it. You could see a tornado barreling toward your house, right? You would know to seek shelter. Heat sneaks up on people. By the time they realize they're overheating, it's too late. And oftentimes they end up, passed out or something like that. And if they don't have anyone with them, they could end up in some very serious danger very quickly. So heat sneaks up on you. It's a sneaky threat here, but it kills more Americans than any other type of weather. And it's not even close. By far, heat kills the most Americans of any type of weather. Number two is flooding. And again, largely because a lot of people don't take it seriously. People try to drive through it. Their car gets swept away and they end up drowning. That's not all, but a majority of our flooding deaths happen that way. So please keep that in mind as we move forward with the rest of today and tomorrow. We've got this flooding threat, then we've got this heat threat. So these are very real, serious things that do actually kill people if you don't take them seriously. So turn around, don't drown. If you come across floodwaters and you can't see the pavement, you need to turn around and find a different way to go. Then as we get into next week, we put the storms behind us, right? A lot of people are probably looking forward to a nice stretch of hot, sunny weather, hit the pool, right? That's all fine and dandy, but keep in mind, this is not normal summer heat. This is dangerous heat. This is the kind of heat where you need to be taking extra precautions, extra breaks, extra water. Maybe don't go out during the hottest time of day. Go somewhere where it's air conditioned and really do everything you can to protect you and your family from that potentially dangerous heat. And check on your neighbors, especially the elderly, folks who maybe don't have anyone checking in on them or maybe don't do a great job of taking care of themselves. Take care of each other this week, folks. And also I want to point out, The alert day ends on Friday because that's where the 7-day forecast ends. But if you look at the extended outlook, notice the hazards outlook for July 4th through July 10th. The tri-state is in that dark red shade there, and it's not just us. It's a pretty large part of the country here. It stretches from South Dakota all the way down to South Carolina. All those folks are at risk of extreme heat from Saturday, July 4th to Sunday, July 5th, already outlooked for it. So this alert right now goes from Sunday to Friday because I can't put any more alert days on the map. We're out of space. But just know, as we progress each day and Saturday comes on and Sunday comes on, it's very possible we could end up on alert for this heat wave all the way into Independence Day weekend. And that's going to be another concern because there's going to be a lot of folks outside celebrating America's 250th birthday. It's an exciting time. Please make sure everyone is drinking lots of water and staying cool because it could be dangerously hot all the way up through the holiday weekend. All right. Karen, Tina, Charla, and Paula, thank you guys for tuning in. Tina's getting some rain there in Petersburg, not raining yet in Hobstadt, just cloudy and gray. Karen's asking about Morganfield for the storms, probably within the next hour and a half. I'd say by 4 or 4:30 you'll probably be getting some rain there and maybe even some thunderstorms. So again, we were all prepared for the fact that today was probably going to be a washout. It shouldn't be any real shock that we've got more rain and storms coming in. The fact that we got a break through the middle of the day was kind of a pleasant surprise for a lot of us. So we do have more rain, more thunderstorms moving in this evening. And then the chances get more hit or miss, kind of scattered. Not everyone is going to see all the rain on Saturday, but there's still some hit or miss chances for rain and thunderstorms throughout the day, Saturday into Saturday night. The last of that rain in Sunday morning, and by Sunday afternoon, it's going to be steamy out there. And then it just gets worse as we get into the work week. Very serious heat wave on the way through all of next week and maybe even up through 4th of July weekend. So be prepared for that. I'm not seeing any other questions in the comments, so I'm going to wrap this up. Chief Meteorologist Jeff Lyons, as I said, is tracking the storms right now. He'll bring updates for you on 14 News tonight at 4, 5, and 6, and then he will do another streaming show here tonight at 9. Then he's got one more look at your forecast on 14 News tonight at 10. So plenty of opportunities to get updates on the weather here. I hope you'll join us for those then. And with that, everybody stay safe and have a good rest of your evening.